The next major smartphone is upon us, and it's always turned. The P40 Pro has more curves, more power, and in true Huawei fashion is all about further advancing mobile photography. But is it your gadget batch? But these are different times that we live in, and instead the Huawei P40. But before we begin with our unboxing, delivering an unannounced smartphone, as you can see, it's so important that it's sealed really well. Let's get on with our unboxing. Let's start. The Huawei P40 Pro comes in this white box. This is the retail packaging. By the way, over here it says CO engineered with Leica. At least the cameras are in here at the bottom. Always answer to the Google Play Store market. Lastly, there's a USB-C cable and wired headphones. ASMR fans, this one's for you. Oh, why this color is so beautiful. I believe it's officially called deep sea blue. Depending on how it's hit by the light, you get shades of glossy royal blue to navy. I love it for biometric security. The P40 Pro has an in-display fingerprint scanner as well as facial recognition that should work fast even in challenging lighting conditions. New navigation gestures. Let's try swipe inward from the left edge to go back. Nice. You can also do it from the right. Swipe up from the bottom to return to the home screen, and swipe up and hold to view recent tasks. Interface looks like more so now than in previous iterations. MIUI feels closer to stock Android, except that it's missing an after hour. Now this doesn't come bundled with the unit. Despite lacking Google's apps and services out of the box, the Huawei P40 Pro features all kinds of flagship goodies like 5x periscope optical zoom lens, 5G support, and 40-watt fast charging, both wired and wireless. Under the hood, the phone is powered by Huawei's own Kirin 990 chip and a battery cell as big as 4200 mAh. At the front is situated a 6.58-inch OLED display with a 90Hz refresh rate, an in-screen fingerprint sensor, and a dual selfie camera. The back is adorned by a quad camera setup with an all-new 50-megapixel Red main sensor. The Huawei P40 Pro will be available across Europe from April 7, 2020. Now that we have service, we can get on with the rest of the video. This is the Huawei P40 Pro. Like many other recent flagships of late, its lineage is written all over its face. I mean its body, from its size, rounded backside 5'8", and if you ask me, I think the P40 Pro is just the right size. Poly says the in-display fingerprint scanner has a 30% larger surface area for you to place your finger faster. Unlock times are also promised, but both of these phones have fast unlock times, and I really didn't notice the difference. The new and locking animations are pretty cool though, and if it's not your cup of tea, there's Face and Look also that utilizes the dual selfie cameras on the device, from a large notch on the P20 to a teardrop notch on the P30. A punch hole makes room for these selfie cameras on the P40 and only on the Pro model, and a sensor for fast and secure Face and Lock even in low light scenarios. As with every update, the claim P40 builds on its already excellent camera. Depending on, there's no denying this phone belongs to the Huawei P series. The color options are a bit muted this year in stark contrast to the colorful gradients that Huawei popularized this year. The pickings are a bit more classic: ice white, black, and my obvious choice, deep sea blue. It also comes in two matte finishes that are more resistant to fingerprints: silver frost and blush gold. But now that I see the P20, P30, and P40 lying side by side, it's pretty clear that the last few years have been less about color and design but more of an evolution in mobile photography. With each update, the camera module gets bigger and bigger. This year it's doubled in size and promised. We'll talk about what all of this means later on, but first let's flip the phone around. While some brands are abandoning curved displays, Huawei is taking them even further this year, keeping its curved sides and adding curves to its top and bottom. Also, the company says this was inspired by surface tension. You know, when a cup is just about to overflow with water but hold its shape in the short period that I've used the device. The quad curved display felt more aesthetic than functional. This Full HD Plus OLED display sports a 90Hz refresh rate with buttery smooth transitions and animations. This year there are 3 P40 flavors: P40, P40 Pro, and a decked out P40 Pro Plus. Screen sizes differ slightly. The screen on the P40 is 6.1 inches while the P40 Pro and P40 Pro Plus are 6.58, and if you ask me, I think the P40 Pro is just the right size. call it. Which model you get, you'll get either a triple, a quad or a penta camera setup. All three phones have the same main camera hardware. The star of the show actually a 50 megapixel ultra vision wide angle camera that boasts of the largest image sensor. Seems to be powerful. The P40 Pro took excellent photos both during the day and at night, even in very dark conditions, and even without night mode turned on. There are supposedly 8 focus points per pixel on the device that allows the phone to quickly latch onto subjects even if they're moving. This shot, for example, of a plane came out great even if I rushed to take it. So basically what happened is I saw one fly overhead, I quickly grabbed the phone, opened the camera app, switched to 10x zoom and hit the shutter button. So yeah, the long-range telephoto feature that Huawei introduced last year is still there. A periscope system enables 5x optical zoom and 10x hybrid zoom, and new on the P40 zoom lens is optical image stabilization, which works together with eye stabilization to counter the shake you get when zooming into that far away. Here are more samples. Finally, there's an ultra-wide-angle lens, and here's what some sample photos look. We'll give this camera a little bit more of a test in our review video, so to make sure you don't miss that, subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit that bell icon to turn on notifications. iPhotography has always been a big keyword on the P series, and the P40 comes with their next-gen eye scene detection. It can do things like remove moving subjects from the background of a photo and reduce reflections when you're taking pictures of something behind glass. For example, here's an example of the removed passerby feature. Now you can see Chai walked behind me while the photo was being taken, and so when you go in to edit the photo you can hit remove passerby and it will pick the best frame without her in the shot. Remove reflection, on the other hand, increases the contrast of an image to reduce the glare, but it doesn't remove it completely. There are 2 selfie cameras on the P40 Plus instead of one, supposedly for better selfie portraits. Here, have a look and let me know what you think about these samples. Content creators might also like the fact that these selfie camera shoots in 4K, and this is a sample shot during the day, and this is what it looks like at night. What do you think if you flip it over and use the assortment of rear cameras? The P40 Pro lets you shoot 4K videos at 60 frames per second. You can also shoot time lapses in 4K using the ultra-wide-angle lens. Adding a is to the telephoto lens also kicks in when you're shooting video using the zoom lens, and now you get the time-stopping 7680 frames per second ultra slow mode video capture that we first saw on the Mate 30 Pro. The P40 series is powered by Huawei's Kirin 995G processor, which among all its speed improvements is a promised 460% improvement in terms of neural processing. As can be expected, games like PUBG asked for 9 and Call of Duty run fine on the device and without a hiccup. More on how you can get these apps in a bit, but first let's talk about specs. Huawei has yet to send me a complete spec sheet, but my P40 Pro review device comes with 8GB of RAM and 256GB of storage out of the box. Both the P40 and P40 Pro have 4200 mAh batteries. In my time with the phone I got a solid day and a half of average, used about 7 hours of screen on time before it conked out. Charging was super fast. It ships with a 40-watt supercharger that got me to 68% after a 30-minute charge and an hour and 10 minutes to get to 800. What's more impressive is that the P40 Pro supports 40-watt wireless charging as long as you get Huawei's optional supercharged 40-watt wireless charger. Are the macro shots versus the ultra-wide? I actually had the same question, and it looks like the ultra-wide-angle camera doesn't act as a macro lens anymore. Here's a shot I took using the P30 Pro. When I used the P40 Pro I couldn't focus as close using its ultra-wide-angle lens, so I moved back and used the 5x zoom lens and got this photo instead. How much better is that camera versus the P30 Pro? I haven't had a lot of time comparing these two phones, but here are my initial findings. I'm finding that the P40 is better at things like HDR, as can be seen in this example, and when there's a tiny bit of light to work with, it also does a better job in low light, although the P30 Pro seems to let more light in when shooting in total darkness. Adding OIS to the telephoto lens helps a lot, and theoretically once that software is rolled out those new eye features are pretty dope. To Bug Us from Indonesia asks, what about the OS? Is it still Android? Good question. The P40 Pro runs EMU 10.1 built on the open source version of Android 10. Everything's there except for Google Play services, which brings me to the question, how does it compare compare without standard Google apps. Huawei's app gallery is slowly coming along with apps like Telegram, Microsoft Office, Snapchat all being officially offered. Also from within the app gallery there's now a link to download Facebook, all good signs that the rest are coming soon. There are other ways to get your favorite apps onto the phone. One of them is called Phone Clone, which lets you restore from an old device your old apps will come to. I personally just used App Pure and have used it to get my favorite apps including Instagram, Disney Plus and Spotify on my P40 Pro, and yep, it Mirza, that includes Netflix too. So is the Huawei P40 Pro your gadget match? I'm going to need more time with the phone to be able to give you my full thoughts, but price is going to play a very important part on whether or not I'm going to be able to give it a glowing recommendation. But in terms of hardware, the P40 Pro is one heck of an Android phone. Here's the hoping the software challenges get sorted out soon. Thankfully the updates look promising. You'll notice in this video I didn't really talk much about the P40 Pro Plus because I don't have a demo unit. Good job from Huawei, and I will talk more on P40 Pro Plus on my next video. But before then I want to know your comment below, and please subscribe for new update. Thanks for watching and see you on my next video.